So first, I'd like to cover some of the do's of pre-production, and I think the first thing I would say is communication. It's really important that everybody be on the same page. Uh, Make sure that everybody knows their role, what they need to do, and how they can, best prepare. And the way to find that out, this communication, is through having a lot of meetings. I think meetings are critical in keeping everything smooth and kind of finding out where your holes are. So if you're not filling in your role perfectly, or there's a communication issue between you and the director of another department, you will find that out through these meetings. That's really something that's important. Also, another really important key is to have plan Bs for things, second and third options in case things fall through. That's critical for just having a final production. So for instance, we lost our first location and our second location, and now we finally followed up with a third location. Had we not thought in advance, we may have nowhere to shoot. And so because we did, we are able to move forward. Something my professor said that I thought was really clever, or just something that made me feel good about it, was he said it should be paint by numbers once you reach production. So if you've done all of this stuff sufficiently, once you arrive, all the guesswork is gone and you will just be operating. So now for some of the don'ts of pre-production. Don't assume that everybody knows what you're thinking, and don't assume that you've done your job properly until you've run it by all of the other departments. You may be missing things that other people need. I would also say always be on time for things, so you don't want to be late, and certainly don't rely on others to do your job. Back to the assumptions. Don't assume that things are going to work out. Don't assume that just because someone promised you a place that you have it. I kind of went over that in the do's of reproduction. Make sure you have second and third options, but really just don't make assumptions for the best, at least. Kind of prepare for the worst. And ultimately, I would say stick to your department. Don't go outside. Even if you think you're helping someone else, you may be throwing a wrench in their workflow, but you also may be leaving your department behind, which can cause a spiral effect, and just make things worse, even though you might be trying to help. So I'd like to talk about some things that are relevant to my specific job, which is the director of photography for this film, and what are some things in pre-production that I've learned that I can pass on to the classes that are going to come behind me. Firstly, I would say don't underestimate the importance of your role, and not just the importance, but the amount of work that's going to go into it. So I would say be prepared to look at lighting, electricity, f-stops, lensing choices. What kind of compression do you want in your lens? How do you want to tell the story? And your role as the DP is to keep tight communication with your director. And so one thing that I think a lot of people get caught up on is they don't think about lighting enough. They think about framing. They think about lenses and how they want to shoot and the camera movement, but they don't put enough weight on lighting. And as the director of photography, honestly, one of your top jobs is to make sure that the lighting is correct. That means putting an eye light in the film, which I learned the hard way. That means making sure that you're lit to the f-stop that you're at. There's a lot of things there. Making sure that it looks realistic and your background has good contrast through lighting. And all that actually needs to be communicated to the electrical department. So you don't just have to, light for what you think looks right. You have to know what kind of power you're gonna need to bring out there. And then you have to understand what kind of lights and diffusion that's gonna take. And those are all things that really need to be worked out in pre-production, because lighting takes an unbelievable amount of time to do if you're just flying by the seat of your pants. So when you're out there, that is not the time to work on lighting. That is a critical role of pre-production. So if I had to say something about it, that is the one takeaway I want everybody to have. That's it. I mean, you have to tell the story and keep tight communication with your director, and everything should be smooth sailing, provided you do all of the do's I mentioned in the first part. So if I had one piece of information that generally covered everybody's role that would be useful to anyone for pre-production, it would be timely with your work, meaning do not wait till the last minute to get started. Don't even wait till you think you have enough time to get started. Start before you think the right time to start is. And that's because typically if you're in school, you don't even know what your job is. You don't know how long it's going to take. And on top of that, you're going to run into some road bumps. So it's really important to get started early. That's the greatest piece of advice I can give, because you are in school, you're in a learning environment, your teachers will answer questions for you, but they can't answer them last minute. So if you start your job early, you'll find out all of the problems that you may encounter, and there will be a really good learning opportunity for you to go to your professors with those questions and to iron all that out. And then once again, like I said, ultimately when you get on production, if you've done all of this and you've taken this advice, you should be painting by numbers. So to close it all up, I hope that everybody who sees this gets something out of it. I think that it's all valuable information, and I hope that you all take the advice, and I hope that it makes your pre-production and your production smooth. So good luck.